matchup draft time for Week 12. Chris, you got the trivia question.
I do. Michael Thomas is leading the NFC and the NFL in receiving yards. Who, Michael Florio, is leading the AFC in receiving yards? Don't look. Stay right here. Keep your eyes up. I don't trust you.
There's no Googling that's going on.
Yep.
This is man, who jumps out to me
I know,
in
it's
the
a
AFC
weird
in
year.
receiving yards?
It's a weird.
Yeah, there really isn't a guy that you say absolutely positively this is the guy.
Right.
Man, I'm just going to have to – it can't be DeAndre Hopkins. He hasn't had a big year. I have no idea.
I know. It's a tough one. It's an obvious – it's like you're going to be like, oh, man, but it's not like you wouldn't think it. So you're giving
Jarvis Landry.
Nope. Good guess, but it is Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce.
That's not obvious.
Well, I know.
That's not obvious
because
you don't expect it to be a tight end.
You're right. It's crazy, right? It is. It's a weird year at the receiver position. There's, other than Michael Thomas, nobody putting up like huge stats or anything like that.
That's a tough question. That's kind of a trick question. We got Peter King yesterday with a trick question, so we're even now, I guess.
Yep. Okay. So good job, guys. Way to make Florio eat it. All right. And the matchup that I think jumps out to me more than any this weekend will be Kellen Moore versus Bill Belichick. That is, to me, an intriguing one. Kellen Moore, first-year play caller for the Dallas Cowboys, been doing a great job, has a lot of assets at his disposal as far as run game, offensive line, weapons at receiver, a quarterback who's top-notch, and now he's playing a defense that's clearly the best defense he's had to play this year, who not only is really talented in the secondary, but then you got a coach who does game plan specific things on a weekly basis to where you can't prepare for it. You don't know where Bill might go and do, and something is one of his outside the box type of thoughts to take away a part of your game plan that you were not expecting to be taken away. And to me, that will be one of the interesting things I watch. I do think this offense poses some problems, like I said earlier, for this New England defense and could be a handful for them because of their balance and their weapons and things like that. And I'm just interested to see where it goes. Does he put Gilmore on, Amari Cooper? Or does he go Gilmore on the second best receiver and double Amari Cooper? There's just so many ways. What does he do to stop the run in certain down and distances? So that's one that really jumps out to me.
And, it's funny when you put it that way, because you suggested earlier in the show that the Cowboys could surprise the Patriots. When you boil it down to Kellen Moore versus Bill Belichick,
yeah,
Patriots by $1 billion in this one. So I think you've helped me. You've helped me resolve what my pick's going to be.
Okay.
For that game when we do the Mega Picks podcast later on in the morning. All right, I'm going to go with something that you had suggested earlier that I hadn't thought about, and I'm glad you didn't make it your first round pick. The Kyle Shanahan, Mike Pettin reunion. Sorry, you should have picked it first.
Gosh,
but. You've got Kyle Shanahan, who was the offensive coordinator for Mike Pettin in 2014. And that was the year with Johnny Manziel. And Shanahan asked out after the year, and they let him leave. So there's got to, we got into the whole hard feelings that Kyle Shanahan has for Washington earlier this year. I don't know if he has hard feelings for Mike Pettin specifically, but it sounds like it was kind of a dysfunctional year. Mike Pettin knows Kyle Shanahan's offense because he ran Kyle Shanahan's offense the first year he was a head coach of the Cleveland Browns. I just kind of like how this one shakes out. Pettin knows Shanahan. Shanahan knows Pettin. Shanahan's got some guys who are banged up. Pettin's had 2 weeks to get ready for this one. We like the 49ers in this one generally, but if there's a team that's going to catch them with 2 weeks to get ready for the game, with that Mike Pettin defense, and they have not done much in recent weeks, maybe this is an opportunity for Pettin to remind everyone that their defense isn't quite as bad as we would say.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm with you. Yeah, totally. I mean, that's to me, it's a really cool matchup. Plus, Matt LaFleur, who came from Kyle Shanahan, as far as under his coaching tree, and also Matt LaFleur's little brother is the passing game coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. So there is a lot of familiarity between both coaching staffs here as far as what the one and the other does. And I do think that's going to be one of the cool things to watch. All right, I'm going to one of the marquee games at 1 o'clock. And I'm going to the Seahawks-Eagles game, specifically the Seahawks defensive line versus the Eagles offensive line. That, to me, will go a long way to who wins this football game. The Seahawks pass defense, as we know, has not been great all year. Now, the Eagles pass offense, nothing special either. But I do think they're creative enough and good enough to where if this Seahawks D-line can apply some pressure and dominate the line of scrimmage a little bit, that the Eagles will have some plays that are there to be had against that Seattle secondary. And, again, I'm really excited to see off a bye week, if Seattle's D-line can play like they did against the San Francisco 49ers, then Seattle is like a legit we can win the Super Bowl type team. I think I had them in the category as legit NFC pain in the butt going into that game. And if Jadeveon Clowney and Jaron Reed and Ezekiel Anza and, Poona Ford and all of them can play up to the way we saw that night, they are in a different stratosphere to me, and that would go a long way to help their pass secondary out and really shut down the Eagles in general, to where I think that's a huge matchup in the game.
And they are hot on the heels still of the 49ers. If they would win on Sunday and the 49ers lose, the Seahawks jump into first place in the NFC West. Clowney, by the way, didn't practice due to injury on Wednesday, so that's one to monitor over the course of the week.
What was it? Is it his ankle? Do you know? Did they say?
I don't know. I would have mentioned it. I would have mentioned it if I had it right in front of me. I don't have it right in front of me. I tried to gloss over it, so thank you for exposing that. I don't immediately know what it is.
Totally.
We'll find out. Yeah. We'll let you know. Stats will let us know. All right. I'm going to go to a game that I probably could have held this one to round 3. I will hold it to round 3. Let me do this one. Mitchell Trubisky versus Matt Nagy. That's the matchup, because we are now at the point where when the Bears play the Giants this weekend, and I know it's not a game that is going to receive a ton of attention, but it's reached the point where it makes sense to have a camera on those guys all the time.
Yep.
Every interaction they have, every reaction that Matt Nagy has to something that happens on the field, because we have that layer of drama and dysfunction that emerged late in the game on Sunday, the hip injury that was or wasn't, the benching that did or didn't happen, the images of the two of them huddled together, and I think that how those guys interact, how they're able to get together or not get together, every interaction between them is going to be scrutinized, it's going to be criticized potentially, and it's going to go a long way toward determining whether or not the Bears can salvage a season that every week I look at their record and I say, how are they 4-6? It feels like they're so much worse than that. And I think the reason it feels that way is because Bears fans are so deflated over the fact that this is a team that was 12-4 a year ago and they had high hopes for another playoff trip this year. But I think Trubisky versus Nagy at every level, how they handle the relationship, how we see it unfold, every image, every shot, every time he's on the sideline, it's going to be a major focus in that Giants-Bears game on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'll say this. I'm wrong, okay? I'm apologizing to Matt Nagy or the Bears and the Bears fans for those who I challenged whether Trubisky was, hurt, because I saw enough on film yesterday and saw a tweet from Olin Kreutz, the great offensive lineman from the Chicago Bears, who first saw a tweet there, and then I was getting ready to watch the game on film and saw it that, there was a problem with Mitchell Trubisky's hip. I don't think it was like earth-shattering, horrible, hurt like that, but there definitely was, so I stand corrected. You know me, I like to self-scout thyself, and within doing that, I was wrong, and I just want everybody out there to know that. All right. So,
if you take that much time to explain every time you're wrong, our show is going to consist of you constantly talking about all the things you were wrong about.
You know what? Screw you, Florio. I think that's the first time I've been wrong in weeks. All right. I'm going to go to the Monday night matchup. This is one that jumps out to me. Of course, I'm really excited to watch this game. But I think one matchup, if the Rams wanted to win this football game, it comes down to this a little bit. Jalen Ramsey on Hollywood Brown. I'd really look at that as being a marquee matchup of the weekend, because if the Rams want to pull off the upset and they want to be able to stop, Lamar Jackson and all the running game and the Ravens and overpowering them and all that stuff, they're going to need Jalen Ramsey to be on an island against Hollywood Brown and basically just take him out of the game so they can use other assets in coverage and in the run game to help out with all the creative things that the Baltimore Ravens do in the run game. I think that will go a long way if the Rams can if he can shut down Hollywood Brown and give Wade Phillips the confidence there, he'll be able to do some creative things that I think can give that Ravens offense some issues. We know that Rams defense has been phenomenal, and I do think the Rams can, Rams defense can muck it up, muck it up the game a little bit with all their chaos and creativity they have up front with Aaron Donald and Dante Flower and Brockers and all those guys. So that will be one that stands out to me.
You just like to move your hand as close to the flame as you can.
You know, that's what I do.
Jadeveon Clowney, by the way, knee and hip injuries. Thank you, Stats, for that information. All right, mine is, and this would have been bigger if they had gotten together earlier in the year. This is the first time the Falcons and the Bucs get together this year, which means it's the first time former Buccaneers coach Dirk Cutter gets a shot at the Buccaneers. Dirk Cutter versus the Buccaneers. All the knowledge he has of the personnel, specifically Jameis Winston. And, you know, it's kind of a strange week because Cutter's got to get his offense ready. But I have a feeling he's going to be working with Dan Quinn and the defensive coaching staff to download any and all information about how to confuse and confound Jameis Winston. If anyone knows, it's Dirk Cutter, who worked with Winston longer than anyone at the NFL level. And Dirk's got a little fire there.
I'm
sure. A little cantankerous. I've been on the wrong end of it once or twice. Actually, all it took was once for me to understand to steer clear from this guy.
Good.
And there's some of the things he said this week. You know, he knows there's a little more to it. And it's an elimination game. I don't think either team's got a shot at making it to the playoffs, but they're both 3-7. The loser's definitely done. The winner still has a shot, and we'll make our picks in that game coming up later today in the Mega Joint podcast. So those are our picks if you're watching on TV.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.